So yeah, Michelle, thanks for being flexible with us. Sorry for the couple
No.
different postponements and stuff like that. So we
And you're
appreciate
feeling
you.
better, I assume.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I wasn't feeling terrible. Like I had like a headache and stuff, but just bad enough where I was like, I'm not in podcast mode, if that makes sense. So
100%. You bet.
That's no fun. Yeah. No, I'm happy to be flexible when I can, so I appreciate that. And actually, if I'm completely honest, you made my whole day on Friday. I won't tell
oh,
you what you were feeling like crap, and I was scheduling some relaxation time. I called
there
my
you
lady up, like,
go.
I just had an opening this afternoon. Can you get me in? So yeah, I we went away for the weekend for a little bit and road tripped it. But before I left, I'm like, I'm so sorry you feel bad, Savannah, but yes.
Yeah, you're like,
Yay.
thanks.
And I was looking forward to meeting with you guys, not like that, but it's
Right,
rare you get a Friday
exactly.
afternoon with some time to yourself. So I
That's
appreciate
Oh
it's
yeah.
magic when that happens. Like,
it.
that day, as a matter of fact, I was prepping, I'm getting ready to move. And so we were having a yard sale on Saturday. So I was like, oh, I'm going to start prepping for this yard sale.
Yeah.
But I've got this meeting
Mhm.
here and I got this meeting here and I had another meeting. And then one by one, Savannah dialed in. And kind of similarly, I was like, well, it's not, I mean, I feel bad that you feel bad, but wow, okay, I got an extra hour. And
Yeah.
then like a
Yeah.
minute later, this other podcast that I was going to be recording fell through. And I was like, again, I'm going to miss hanging out. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, my whole day freed up. So I got the yard sale completely ready to go. And, and so it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could help you guys out. That's good to know. I
You
was
didn't
kind of feeling bad
realize,
I had to
yeah.
cancel, and then everybody else was like, "Oh, thank goodness."
I'm gonna start arbitrarily canceling more things just to kind of spread that joy in the world.
Exactly.
And we
Yeah.
couldn't tell you that we were delighted in the moment. It would have been totally wrong. So
Right.
we're just quietly going, I hope she feels better.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Guys, I'm feeling awful. Awesome.
I'm glad. Do it again.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Even in like with friends, like plans sometimes and stuff, sometimes I'm like, it sounds fun when you make the plans, and then when the time comes, it's like, I wouldn't be mad if I just got to stay home for the day or something. So,
I think
Life
that's the
hack.
life of an introvert extrovert. The extrovert person is
yes.
like, yeah, do it, do it. I want to do it. And then when it comes up time, you're like, why did they do this? I'm comfortable now in my jammas, and I don't want to get out and go anywhere. It's
Too
Yeah.
cool.
easily. Yeah, and life hack as you get older, these instances go like the t-shirts that say, I'm sorry I didn't want to come. I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So true.
Yeah. You just stop making up the excuses and everything. You just
Right.
flat out say, like, I didn't want to do it. Sorry.
Yep, right. I'm having this awesome party, and you're like, oh, that sounds like a great party. I hope you have a great time. I
Yeah.
won't be there.
I will not be in attendance. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Michelle, I hope that you had a good road trip and everything and a good weekend. That sounds fun. And yeah. Bobby, I hope you got some packing done and a good yard sale. Did you
I
sell
did. We
a
had a
lot of
lot of
stuff?
people. Yeah, it was a really, and our
Good.
house is situated in a neighborhood that you need a treasure map to get into.
mm,
It's like it's
Oh.
not like nice like thoroughfare from one road to another. It's like make a right, make a left, make another right, make a left, go around this corner, and then you're there. So you have to put up 40 signs if you want to get any traffic.
Mm,
So I try to minimize it, and so we're all we haven't had a ton. I think we've watched other people in the neighborhood sit there for all day twiddling their thumbs because nobody shows up.
yeah.
So
mm-hmm.
we actually had a couple yard sales in the neighborhood. So I in the moment pivoted and like went and put signs up near there. So it was like keep on going. There's another one down the road.
Yeah.
We ended up getting a number of people, and we made a few bucks. So I was happy about. And more important, just I don't want to. I'd rather get stuff to people that are going to use it, whatever. So happy to spread
Yep.
some love in the world.
Put the sign out or put a post out on social media that says huge free pile and then
Right.
and people will just start coming in. We call that Hippie Christmas when the,
I
when the
love
whole
that.
when the whole yard is full of things. I remember driving down the road, and I had my old car, and I was driving, and I spotted our neighbors are selling their house, and they were pulling like patio furniture out. I was like, oh, that's maybe. So I'm like, dial my phone and put it in my lap because there's no Bluetooth, and I'm like yelling on the phone to my husband, being like, bring the truck, go down the road, that little house, they've got stuff coming out, and I think it looks good, but I'm not sure, but why don't you check it out? And I just like left it on him. I come back and the set that they had, just ironically matched our other set, which was secondhand when we got it too. So
Oh
it's
wow.
probably 8, 10 years old, and it was the same pattern, everything, aluminum frame so it can stand the weather and it doesn't rust. And I come
Awesome.
home and there's like a mini little table that matches our bigger table.
Oh,
Hippie Christmas! And it was
I
yeah.
love it.
completely free. I was like, yeah, this is good stuff. So
So if you're tuning
Yeah.
into the podcast, you've learned, if you don't know this term, you've learned a new term, Hippie Christmas. And what
Nice.
a great way to jump into supply chain conversations, other than, how you find the weirdest supply chains in the world driving down the
Yeah.
road.
I love it.
That's a great segue, Bobby. I love that. Well, cool. Yeah. I mean, like Bobby said, we're here to talk like trade compliance, supply chain, tariffs, all of those buzzworthy terms that are happening right now within the world. And who better to join us than our friend here, Michelle, who is a trade expert pretty much. But I'll let you do a little introduction for yourself, Michelle, if you'd like.
Yeah, like 'em or hate 'em, the current administration has made what I do for a living interesting and knowledgeable to all the people now. Nobody
Yes.
is
Mm-hmm.
escaping this, and everyone wants to know about it, especially tariffs. So I'm Michelle Frenier. I am strategic global trade consultant for NMB Solutions. So we do Microsoft supply chain solutions. We do some compliance inputs that go into that, and so forth. So I've been doing trade compliance for over 20 years. I started really young. I'm a savant, really. So I'm only 29, so it's just I started early. But I'm a licensed customs broker and I do export as well, which is kind of a sweet spot, a little bit of a compliance unicorn, do it all. And yeah, I am super passionate about tech space. Like, this is my thing. Many people will say, oh, we like it the way we like it. And I'm like, how do we make this repeatable? How do we make stuff so much easier? How do we make sure every person can handle the processes and everything that goes along with trade, since it has been such a sort of mystic thing for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thankfully now it's not as scary, or it is scary, but we all have to embrace it. So here to help with that.
Awesome. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And for anyone listening as well, I would highly recommend you follow Michelle on LinkedIn. I've been following you for the past like couple weeks now, and I love the content that you're pushing out, and everything's super educational. So I feel like you can learn a lot of stuff from you just following you on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm a mixed practitioner. I also do trade consulting for my own business as well. So, yeah, there's lots of goodies in there. I try to keep it pretty useful to the person who doesn't really get in the weeds with this stuff. So, yeah, definitely check me out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. I kind of wanted to start the conversation today by discussing the common challenges that come with trade. As you mentioned, within the past few months, there's probably been a little bit more of some challenges than
Past few
normal.
minutes, maybe if we're pulling up a news site.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to kind of start off by saying what those common challenges are and kind of how to overcome them to kind of start off the conversation.
Absolutely. So everyone wants to hear it, so I'm going to do it right out the gate. Tariffs. We're going to talk tariffs. So over the weekend, I was hoping that there would be no more, right? Waited till late on Friday night before I let out my last of my stuff to share with people. I'm like, they're going to settle down for the weekend. We won't have to worry about it. Monday will be a new day. There'll be new letters. So that's the new thing, right? Issuing trade updates and compliance regulations over social media, which that's not how it's done. There are rules. So there are Federal Register notices. There's things that people like me are looking for when they say, oh, there's a new and wonderful thing coming out. And that's not how we're learning about stuff. So I would say today, its environment is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this in my
Just
life.
to nuance that, just so I understand.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that things get released through the media, whether it's on Twitter, X, whatever
So,
social
yeah,
platform, but that doesn't mean they're actually in action either. There's
no,
some legal stuff that has to happen in the background. So there's this kind of
precisely.
this pontification out there that's like, hey, we're doing this, we're gonna, and some of that's to create some create some action, create
Yeah.
some controversy, but really there's a behind the scenes that says, hey, it's actually in play.
You nailed it. So it is not the case. Like things are not legal when you hear about them in this case. But when you hear the press secretary say, pay attention to Truth Social, that's where we're going to be issuing the next round of people. And within only a few days of when things are actually supposed to come into effect, where there has been an executive order, there has been a notification that a change is going to be coming at a certain time, and it turns around and says, nope, sorry, we're going to pivot this way and be looking for Truth Social updates. And I'm like, everybody from compliance people that are at desk level and within companies, customs brokers, consultants like myself, attorneys, we're all on the same playing field. We're all going, what is this? This is not how you do it. But you know what? It's the reality. So you can either ignore it altogether and be stuck, or you can look at it and come up with your best strategy. You can look at your internal things. And so I tend to just focus on how do you make something happen where if it shifts, you can still pivot, like as an individual. So most of what I focus on and some of the challenges have always been data. It's always been process and what can be done in practice as opposed to what is on paper. Because if you have like a policy, what good is it if it never gets followed? So I would say
Hmm.
it's one of the biggest ones. Yeah, and I think the other pieces is not only just the increase in regulations, but then commodity specific things. People are not used to tearing apart their finished good into components and try to apply a rule to a bit and piece of something else. And what we're seeing is there isn't a clear path when things are announced on how it's actually going to be executed. No one can necessarily plan because they're not saying, oh, hey, we're going to do this. But then there's no way of actually like measuring how it's going to come across or how are you going to report it to customs. And software, people can't even program to it. So the new tech tools are going to be what is going to save us, I think.
And again, so you're saying if you have a widget that has a plastic top and a plastic bottom and a blade in the middle, the plastic may be not under a tariff regulation, but the blade itself is.
Could be a bit in
So
piece, right? The aluminum
that's
and steel has been a huge one because
right.
they're
That's why I was thinking the
calling
metal, the
derivatives.
steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you've already learned all this stuff. You already know that like derivative products are going to be made of many things, and that's what they call them out in the street, derivatives. And they're also saying that you're going to apply a certain tariff rate to the metal content, the percentage that that is. And when you see the Federal Register notice saying, we're going to add this many tariff positions to the line so it can accommodate like 50 or whatever crazy amounts of tariffs. I'm like, how, what? And literally, a customs entry looks like a big audited piece of paper, like an invoice. And as those tariff lines go, they all have to be stacked in a certain order to report all these duties he's talking about. So
Hmm.
what used to be like a consolidated piece, maybe 2, 3 pages of lines for an invoice, each one line is going to be like this big. It's crazy.
Hmm.
So, yeah, don't print anything, digital only. You'll burn every tree in the entire world trying to audit a customs entry. Must
Yeah.
be digital, cannot. Yeah, it's wild right now. That's all I have to say about that.
Can Copilot help like evaluate that invoice? I mean, like if you look at it and you want to ask it, yeah, I'm going to feed you, like you said, digitally feed you all
Yeah,
these, customs documents, and then ask questions of it or calculate around it.
I think we're getting there with AI, with optical recognition of what it's looking at. I think our challenge is really being able to break down and analyze, has it been done right?
Hmm.
I think we're still seeing a little bit of drama around how to evaluate the stacking and the ordering. And again, because somebody announces one day it's this way and the next day it's this way. One thing I do think Copilot would be super helpful with is having, if you have a compatibility matrix of what's been going on, what day it came into effect, what you should have done on that day, and so forth. I feel like if you have a document like that, that you can share that in Copilot as a reference document, put it in your SharePoint, point to it, and then analyze what's coming through against that. Because when you think of all these tariffs are due, think about the auditing people that at customs who are going to ask questions on whether you did it correctly. There's a whole new revenue stream. Collecting the duty on the front end is a great strategy. Auditing when you know it's a mess and you know people are going to make mistakes, that is like expert level. Like that is reoccurring revenue. I mean, it's nuts. So I do think there's
It really is, yeah. I worked for an apparel company, and within this apparel company, we had licenses with colleges. And there's at the time there used to be like a number of different college licensing organizations. They were slowly being bought up by one organization, and I think they relied a lot on keeping things a bit ambiguous.
Yeah.
And they audited you every year, and every year they found something, and you would end up paying five figures plus if you were even if you're doing it well. Like we had a great
Yeah.
auditing trail, but they would still find something. So at
Well,
the
they
end of the
have to
day,
find something. That's what
exactly,
lobsters do. Yeah.
yeah, and you end up paying, $15,000, $25,000, and so
Yeah.
extrapolate that over the course of all these different apparel companies and licensor, that are taking this. Yeah, you're talking about a pretty huge revenue stream that's really like, a profit center. There's not much to it. It's like, hey, we send one person out, and this person just goes around and that's their salary, and we're just collecting, cash.
Reminds
you
me of
know,
the chargeback process for like the big stores, like when you
yeah,
want to do business with the big
exactly. Same. Yep.
that's a
Chargebacks are.
whole it's a whole section. So now our government is using the
Mm,
chargeback as a way. Yeah, anomalies, right? We need to be able to find them, and AI is super good at that, looking for things that don't match up. So
it points back to your original, the way you started. It was like organizations starting to figure out what it is we need to know, and starting to capture that data, right? So that they can use it
absolutely,
potentially. And
yeah.
stay, it's like you gotta pay attention, but also be ready to be fluid. Like you can't be like just, hey, pivot this way, and then you run like 50 miles to the right, and you're like, oh crap, now I gotta run back this way. That you gotta kind of be pretty fluid in the moment.
And I think anybody who's working in the tech space at all understands that we always talk about, right? Bad data in, bad data out. Well, that works the same for AI.
Yeah.
If we give it bad things, it's going to give us bad things. Like if we give it good things and we train it up and we tell it when, it's a reward system. You give it a treat with a great job, and then it starts doing more things that you like. So, yeah, our little bot friends, it's great.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other challenges when it comes to trade compliance that you wanted to touch on? I know obviously like tariffs are a huge thing and everything, but like, are there any other items that you want to discuss that would be challenging?
Yeah, I think one of the main things that you're going to see right now that's getting swept away is that export compliance, looking at who you do business with and knowing your supply chain is still way up there on the importance list, and it's changing a lot. But because of all this other fodder, people are ignoring it. But what's going
Mm.
to happen is we're going to see people who are not focusing on that anymore or even at all. And then they're going to be going, oh, I'm doing business with these people. I've always done business with them. But as we start to see restrictions, embargoes, different trade relations across the world, certain countries are going to fall out of favor. And if you're not sure about your customers or where they're based or who owns them, those are all going to be things that are going to be shifting. And you need to know who you're doing business with. So it's not okay anymore to just say, oh, we know this guy, we know that guy. How many times like, if you own a home or anything, how many times has your mortgage been sold? I mean, all the time they call you, hey, we're your new mortgage holder, pay us this month or something. That happens in business as well. Companies
Mm.
purchase each other, they get new partners involved. And what we're hearing is that they are working on a screening requirement for 50% rule at the Department of Commerce, similar to what they do with OFAC, but saying across the board, if somebody is on a denied parties list, they're going to want to screen them and anyone who owns 50% or more of their company. That's not the standard today, but it is threatening to be so. So when I think about computer systems, ERPs, integration, no one can really handle that. Even the small companies should not be handling denied party screening on a manual basis. It is completely possible. It is completely unattainable, and you're going to have holes and make mistakes. So yeah, I would say that one is huge and a great use case for how do we involve technology to look for anomalies, to see changes in our data, and to pick up on that. And I feel like Copilot would be an amazing way to take a look at the transactions in D365 and say, whoa, wait a minute, I have a contact change here,
Mm.
a name change, a DBA, any sort of contractual change. And what does that mean for global trade? Does that company touch your business in a way that is now going to put you on a radar for customs.
Is that something that NMB is working on proactively to add to the software suite? Because I know you're an ISV that taps
Yeah,
alongside of D365. I
yeah.
don't currently I don't know what's being done. I don't know if there's a knee jerk in like at the highest level of Microsoft to develop around tariffs or anything, or they're relying on
Yeah.
companies like NMB.
Yeah, so the deny priority screening part is definitely something that NMB has today. We call it Gateway for RPS, and it plugs in to the D365 in a way that it's just in the ERP, it's in the screens. So what's nice about that is your users don't have to be compliance junkies. They don't have to know what they're looking for. You set
Right.
parameters, you look for it, you can do that. With changes like this, it's actually the companies within compliance that are best practice providers of denied party screening who we're integrated with. So we have our platform and our layer that allows people to not leave D365 while plugging into main players in the compliance screening business. What's great about that is those folks are the A team on when the rules change.
Right.
They get the lists, they bring them in, it's immediate. They have 25 to 30 people dedicated to scrubbing all of these lists plus technology. They're not just doing it individual people. They're employing AI. They're doing sort of APIs and crawlers that go out and look for the information and make sure that their customers have it up to date. So that's what NMB gets to bring in as a best in class product. All the compliance junkies out in the world are like, yes, I can trust what's coming here. All the D365 people are like, thank God I don't have to leave D365. So yeah, it's a great little solution, especially for automation and your workflows.
Just yeah, as an example, again, a lot of my experience as an end user was with an apparel company, but we bought overseas. We have a number of overseas vendors, and through the years, this does shift. If you do, it's not a full. I mean, you typically, especially a smaller company, and we're a multi-million dollar, 60, $70 million company, so it's not a small company, but still internally,
Yeah.
you can't afford to pay somebody necessarily to be a compliance junkie.
No.
And
Yeah.
so there were plenty of times where, and it was interesting how it happened from all different sides. So sometimes you might just read about it.
Yeah.
It's a political thing. Like this country is no longer now. We can't do business with them. They're on some list that says that U.S. cannot do business with this country.
Yeah.
We've had customers do the same. Like, hey, we're a customer. If you're doing business with these countries, we won't do business with you.
Yep.
So having that some company is out there looking at all those different pieces to help bring it all together in one is
Yeah.
huge, because we would find out most often sometimes it was too late. We lost a customer because they were well down the process and found that because we were already doing business with this country, they didn't care that we would change. They're like, sorry, we don't trust you, blah blah, whatever it is, their choice. But they made that choice, and we lost that customer because of this relationship with this country that we ended up backing away from. But it's not a quick turn process.
Mm-mm.
You can't just all of a sudden go buy all these goods, this textile good from another country
No,
the next
not at
day. You got to build relationships and do a lot of research around product color and dye matches. I mean, it's just so much that goes into it. So you can't just, it's not a U-turn
No,
or a left
and now
turn.
these little letters that are going out and who's going to get what, I'm looking at all the competing countries that are going to be the perfect solution to replacing China, right? This all started with let's minimize China. Well, now China doesn't have a final deal yet. They don't have to do a deal until like the 10th of August. They have a little extension on everyone else. And now we're watching all the like competing countries falter, come in with their rates. We got Cambodia and we've got Vietnam. We're waiting on India. Like all these people that are the major markets for certain types of products are being threatened with higher tariffs. So what is this going to look like? And even in the case of Vietnam, they have a transshipment tax. This is one of the examples where I was saying there are tools for applying things. What is being suggested is nonsensical. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to apply the thought of a transshipment. How would they even know? I mean, okay, how would they ever know? Customs has new technology. They are using AI. They are using tracing to be able to see when things shift, when certain parties transfer. They can see more than what they could in the past. But then still, how do you apply it to an entry system that isn't looking at a supply chain trail? It's looking at a country of origin, a tariff number, a value of a product, and now we're talking about adding all these other things.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. No.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, you guys have to keep me going here because I am a lot with the tariffs or any of it. I'm like, and it's this
Yeah.
and it's so fascinating. So lighten
No,
the
this is,
mood whenever you can.
In some ways it's crazy, but also if this is your passion, it's kind of fun
Yeah.
that there's
it
like,
is.
a little bit of, wackiness going on for you to kind of, have something, interesting to look at and play with and try to figure out. It's a new challenge to some degree. It's not easy, like you said, and it's certainly shaking itself out day to day. So
Total
Mhm.
trade nerd. You guys are you guys are being subjected to, but yes.
Hey, and that's why we had you on. It's great
Yeah.
to listen and learn, that's for sure. But yeah, kind of going forward, I guess, is there anything else within the like trade compliance that Copilot agents can help with, specifically with like denied party screening workflows or anything like that, that you kind of wanted to go through?
Yeah, so I feel like what we are just mentioning about there being ways to already screen within D365 in an integration mode, I think what Copilot's going to do the best of is to help be a sort of engine for looking for more than what it does today. Looking for instances with, hey, you changed this product. We realize this is also similar. Do you want to review this? Right? That type of thing could be baked in with the logic and the knowledge of human in the loop, which is the practitioners like myself, different people within supply chain. We have to be able to feed Copilot what we want it to care about. So as much as everyone's like, oh, AI is going to take my job, I'm done for, I will assure you that it is way off from being able to think of all the things that historically have been important that are nuanced. So I do feel like there's a space for that. I think it's going to require quite a bit of knowledge from the industry base to really teach it exactly what to help with, because there already is integration. There's already ways to set parameters and check for anomalies and to really target. But if we're going to talk about next level sort of proactive use of Copilot, looking for things that maybe you don't have a parameter for, or a quick code for actually looking for a new requirement that comes across, Copilot can probably help do that without having to reprogram systems. So definitely some ideas there. The other thing is to look for, opportunities to look for country of origin and like valuation stuff within the system. I think those are other pieces within ERP that are just, no matter what the ERP, there's always a new product being launched that is missing data. It got in through marketing, super excited about it. And if you are in the market of B2C, you're almost even more subjected to these like holes that would prevent shipping from happening. And we see a lot of that in the parcel world because I used to work for a coffee company, and every new flavor, size, pack, right? All those specifics changed the SKU just slightly. So you could have a brand new SKU hit. Okay, we're going to do a promotion. We're going to do this large pack, and it's only going to be offered to this vendor, blah, blah, blah. You can get it, and we're going to do it for a short period of time, right? You think of all those things happening. It gets thrown through the system. Everyone's like, oh, we already have that product. It's just a different size. Who knows? Until it meets the shipping station, and they need the information to ship that internationally, and it has no origin, no tariff number, everything's missing, and it stops the shipment. And so depending on your supply chain, you might be fine because you know how to do that, or you might be completely dead in the water and waiting for the FedEx truck to come, and you're like, the door closes at 3, I gotta hurry up and get this order. And that's where trade compliance people get the buzz call, like, hey, we've got this whole shipment of stuff and the system's telling me it can't ship. It's always trade compliance's problem, by the way. It's always our fault. We didn't do our work. So ways Copilot can help with that is, as an item's created, you can create a system where it says, hey, you just made a new item. It's flagged to be sold internationally. It has item group such and such. It doesn't have an origin. It doesn't have a tariff. And by the way, we suggest other products like this look like this. So if you knew it was the same product, just a different size, you can teach Copilot to look at your book of items, find similar things by item group, match up certain criteria that are a must have, and then suggest the idea to you. So if you're someone on the ship station and you realize this is just the same as this other item, except it's a bigger pack, you could be sort of deputized to be the trade person for the day.
Mm.
Select that item based on the suggestion from Copilot, pre-fill it. And even if you wanted to get down to straight up orchestration where your process systems will allow for this to proactively look, and if you give it the right background, it's going to do this automatically and even pre-fill it for you. All depends on how fancy you want to get, but it is absolutely on the table. And it's been a problem I've been chasing for 20 years. So welcome, Copilot. I'm happy
Yeah.
to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely your friend in this scenario, which is great.
And you see that
Um,
similar scenario, like just it reminded me because we talked about last weekend. I'm moving. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff. I'm a huge thrift store nut, and during the pandemic, it got even worse. I just had I think this idea that I was gonna just buy things and intrinsically know they're valuable and sell them on eBay or whatever in life. And so I had accumulated so much stuff. So now that I'm moving, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? So I've been putting stuff on eBay, and it's nice because I can start the thing out and say, hey, I'm selling this thing, and start to type it in. And so using, I'm sure it's not Copilot, but it is an AI. Oh, it looks like you're trying to sell this item. We've got 70 of these. Is it like this one? Is it like this one? Is this the
Wow.
one? And then you can grab all the information, even though somebody else has inputted it, but it's saving me minutes to minutes 5 to 10 minutes of like going to find maybe this type of the product model number or whatever it is. I can just quickly pull it all and move forward. And then it does an AI description. Boom. Having that, like you said, that at your disposal at this level, where that person at the ship station would have had to wait on somebody to come do all this, that
Yeah.
they've got some autonomy to build and go through with it.
And in your case, you're in a hurry to get rid of this because you're moving, right? So you're
100%.
motivated. You're what they call motivated seller. So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
look at AI telling you, hey, your competitors want it for this. You want it gone tomorrow.
Yep.
You take so much money off from it. You add free shipping, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're making a giant box of things to ship out. And yeah,
You
it's
bet.
intelligence, right? And I think that's where some of like the market intelligence and privacy, like, oh, we get into all kinds of stuff with AI because what used to be your secret sauce is now in the public training models, and people are able to just duplicate what you used to do as a
Yeah.
nuanced business. So it's interesting. It cuts both ways, and it's sort of in that responsible AI, like how do you ethically use it? And I think that's what I like the most about Copilot, because it can nest in the Microsoft system and you can draw a box around what you want it to look like. You can secure your data, your Power BI, your Power Automate, your stuff is all part of it without having to worry that it's going and searching or bringing or sharing your stuff outside of the network. So
Yeah.
it's a little different than some of the other platforms that you can use, but still gives you that agentic AI, that user adoption feel because it's part of the useful tools that people have gotten to know and love in the Microsoft space. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm a fan. I think it has a lot of potential in compliance to break down those barriers where people don't trust it.
And to your point, if you're using Copilot and your company has purchased it, you'll know, and you've got that what you're talking about, that protective barrier. Whatever you're searching is staying within. Whereas if you take a document and put it in ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these others outside services, that data now exists in the world, and so it's no longer protected.
Yeah.
It may dissipate at some point, but it's not guaranteed. So you've got to be careful. And so you are, but this, having this built in SharePoint in your Microsoft little world, you've got that security model built around that they're really passionate about and really serious about. I mean, that's a lot of effort has gone into securing that data from normal folk to all the way up to the government cloud, which is even more so
Yeah, absolutely.
of need to be super secure. So
Yeah, let me scare you a little bit. So now that everyone's an expert in trade compliance, right, and tariffs, and everyone wants to help somebody. So how many things have you read on the internet or out on the news or LinkedIn or wherever you're like, oh, wow, that's how I avoid tariffs. I just do this. And people are inventing new Incoterms, which is a standard shipping term across the world. They're inventing new ones that don't even exist, and they're suggesting them to companies. And oh, you should value your products like this because you can avoid. Think about all of that being consumed by AI. And when you go out to public AI and you ask it for something and it's looking at all this garbage on the side and then it's suggesting it to you and you're thinking, oh, it's probably okay, right? Like it says that. It's got some sites, it's citing companies. Oh, this company looks like they know what they're talking about. Even just the littlest thought, oh, I did my diligence, it's cool. Or you're in a shipping situation and your goal is to get it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
The magic box says this is what it is. We're gonna do it. Whoa. Like somebody like me who does trade compliance and thinks of auditing, I just go, I'm gonna have the worst headache.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. We got a little feedback there.
Oh, hot mic, hot mic. Um,
Like you
yeah,
got excited about it, but this is what I'm
I,
saying. That
yeah. No,
it's
that's
true story.
100%. A
It's
huge
why.
concern with AI is that, because to your point, so what happens is I post this out there, I make some term up that sounds plausible, I've got a website, and then a bot crawler comes along, picks it up, and they just put it on an arbitrary site that just grabs stuff. It's like, this site is interested in anything to do with trade, so I'm just going to keep crawling until I find these trade articles, and I'm going to post them on my site, and another bot. And so the same article gets posted. If you do any, you can see it. It's the same
Yeah.
article, the same verbiage. But then AI comes along, like I said, and sees it and says, I found this in 20 places. And
Now
this
it's
website was
popular.
established in 2015, so it seems to be a legitimate site.
Yeah.
That it might not, there's still a lot of diligence left out there, which goes back to your point that AI still can't really be the ward. We still have a lot of work from a human aspect to do our own, you know, digging at this
Yeah, the
point.
diligence is really important. It is, and it's what's preventing like the adoption. In the spring, I went down to a conference at MIT, and it was the most inspiring place I'd ever been. They were all AI student junkies. These students hadn't even graduated yet, and they already are owners, co-owners of companies. They are just talking about all the energy in the room and what they're doing, and when I looked at it, the common theme across everything, all these people that were there, adoption. Their biggest worry is that AI adoption is going to dwindle and people aren't going to trust it. And if they don't trust it, then it doesn't get the implied way. And so the bad stuff just keeps going, and the people who could be using it to tune it to be good are not using it. And agentic AI in general is like all the things. So now what, right? What happens when agents start talking to agents, and how are they going to get that? So it's a case for if you can trust where your systems are and how they sit in Microsoft and you know where it's at, you're going to teach your employees how to use the tools for good and within their daily work. Get used to it, get comfortable,
Yep.
and as that goes, you're going to see so much more, return on investment. People can start chasing some sourcing stuff that they're going to need to do instead of hunting down, anomalies within the system or
Big
worrying
key,
about.
getting your own organization adopting, get that data protected. Then you trust the data, you trust which you should be a much more safe environment to use the
Absolutely.
AI, the technology.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, the ethics behind AI is definitely a whole other conversation, which is actually why Bobby and I are having another episode in this series where we're talking about that as well. But I can definitely see where, Michelle, this is making you want to like rip your hair out with all these people just trusting it blindly and yeah.
And
So
feeding the
and
beast.
feeding the beast.
Feeding the
Yes.
beast. No, it's very hungry for the next thing. I mean, I
Me
think what
too.
I laugh about comments even, right? When you are looking at stuff, some of it is just blatant, and people are still green to seeing the difference. And I think
Mhm.
that's what we also need to work on is informing and telling people honestly when we've used AI in our work. Sometimes like it's just saying, hey, I have a bunch of people that I follow that one does an entire newsletter where it has they have a conversation with ChatGPT, and they ask it things, and that's their whole like newsletter is like an open conversation, and he'll note where, oh, this is where it went off the rails, but here's where it was really useful. And I'm like, oh, that is really interesting, but it makes it more accessible. It teaches people that this is how you responsibly
Mm-hmm.
interact with a technology like this.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Are there any other key takeaways that you wanted to mention before we kind of wrap up here? You had a lot of great nuggets and everything,
Yeah.
so.
No, I think one thing that I want to kind of pull in, something that has always been useful to me, but I see technology bringing us to a new level, is automated SOPs. Because part of what I talked about when we first opened was one of the biggest challenges is having a compliance program that works in practice, not just on paper. And one of the ways we need to do that is integrating those documents and those files that we've got in a dusty drawer somewhere, or God forbid, the people that knew that stuff are leaving the company. They got a great job, or they decided, I'm going to early retire, or, oh, this tariff stuff's enough for me, I'm out, right?
Right.
When that happens, and I mean, if I was close to retirement and I saw all this stuff coming, I'd be like, okay, yeah, my balance is good enough. I'm out, right? And it's true. Exactly. See you later. So what happens when your core knowledge group leaves your company? Are you going to be completely like gone? Like, what are you going to do? Or even better, I'll have clients tell me, we have this, but we don't touch it. And I'm like, well, why? Oh, so and so wrote this or put this in place. We have no idea how it works. We just pay for the solution and we don't touch it because it's not broken. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's not good. So when I think of those real world examples where things are like this and where it needs to be better, we have the tools to make it better. We can use an SOP and a tool like Power Automate and AI and Copilot, and we can bring in those things that used to be on a dusty piece of paper into our workflows. We can orchestrate them if we want to get fancy, or we can just simply make sure that they are embedded in our daily flow. So then you know when something's wrong. Much of the audit structure that I use to check company stuff, the anomalies are almost never a systemic error. It's usually a human who does something the same way every time, consistently, but you can't trace that to a digital problem. You're watching a manual interaction happen. And if your system isn't automated, you can't tell when something's from manual from automation, it's super hard to track down why your compliance is going off the rails. And it's just a training issue. It's somebody who just needed to know better. So that's one of the like sort of my closing things is to don't be scared of AI. Something like automating your SOP in your system is one of the easiest things you can do. Using Copilot to automate your item group, like looking for tariffs, and those are all things that are possible today with a little bit of fun and excitement of teaching yourself how to make a bot. It doesn't take a long time, and there's some great resources on Microsoft's website on how to get a trial of Copilot Studio and just take off on it. Try it out. See what you make for yourself, and you'll be delighted and sort of empowered to teach your team.
A lot of the education going on at local events, at regional events, at national events, online. If you're following the right people, I know April Dunham, who's a big power advocate in with Microsoft, is she? I just saw her post last week. She's going to have a whole class on Copilot Studio. She's going through some of the Microsoft stuff now to vet it out and bring it forward so people can get out there, because this is the new wave of citizen developing. And if you have it, like you said, you have to have a passion and a little acumen, but if you do, then you can get in and do some of this yourself. And like you said, and you'll know where to be cool in your own organization. You'll sit back and it's like, wow, I can use this. I didn't, and boom, you'll get to it.
Or maybe just desperation. I mean, you may not be techie, but you may realize that if you don't do something,
Yeah.
your power of one person may get overtaken quite quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. You can learn a lot.
Yep.
Put your earbuds in, check it out, be delighted. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening to all my trade nerd stuff. It
Oh,
can
it's
be
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when your ears are burning. You're like, okay, that's about enough with
I feel
her.
like, I mean, I have so many questions. I feel like I was trying not to divert us, but I have so many questions just in
Yeah.
general that we could have gone for another hour. But
We're gonna
Well,
have to have
but
a
it was
whole
well packed.
offline.
Yeah. I'm gonna be pinging you every 10 minutes now with my questions.
excellent, excellent. Yeah, drop me a line on LinkedIn too. Like, ask a question on my post. I'm happy to go off the rails on those little rabbit holes. People love it. They go, oh, I have something to say. So
Yeah.
Seriously. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Michelle, you were like the perfect guest. I love your
Aw.
passion and your knowledge and everything. So it was great having you, and thank you for taking the time to join us as well. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week.
Great rest of your week. Yeah, and great rest of the summer. We were talking first just before you got on. Michelle's booking some travel. I'm looking to book some travel. So I'm excited for the rest of the summer here too. So
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
take care.
bye.
See ya.